Shalom Israel first. I want to give all praise and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem El Shai Ba'ashem Kakwadash. The one see Apostle Elsgray Millstone. Peace and attention to one third of Israel. And for this lesson, I want to title it Locked and Loaded. Alright, and you see on the screen it says, why has China loaded over 100 nuclear ICBMs into silos? Alright, now, obviously there's a reason for it, because the nations are ultimately prepping for war. Alright, because it's biblical prophecy and things are stirring up. Alright, and that's how you know we in the last days. Alright, to begin, start off, let's get that. Matthew 24. Alright, Matthew 24 and 6, it says, and ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See ye that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. All right, so we're in the beginning of sorrows right now. All right, and it's only going to intensify, and to top it off, as you see on the screen right here, it's going to be these missiles hitting, all right, Babylon the Great and, other places in the world. All right, but it says a draft Pentagon report, fucking bright as shit. It says a draft Pentagon report reveals that China has likely loaded more than 100 solid-fuel DF-31 ICBMs into 3 silo fields near its border with Mongolia. This marks a significant step in Beijing's rapid nuclear modernization. All right, says a DF-31 Dongfeng or East Wind. The East Wind is a 3-stage solid fuel missile first deployed in 2006. All right, 2006. Damn. So these things were they've been in the works. All right. Says that it has variants. All right, blah blah blah. It says with an estimated range of 4,350 to 7,270 miles, and capable of carrying a single 500 kg warhead yielding 200 to 300 kilotons. Damn. All right. It says the report assesses China's nuclear warhead stockpile at just over 600 in 2024, with 276 intercontinental range, but projects over 1,000 by 2030, despite a slower recent production rate. And I don't think that's on point, only because they're not gonna tell you what they got. They gonna give you the show, but they got some shit in the vault. All right, as well as these other nations, Russia for sure, all right, Iran, and all these other nations. These nations are prepping for war. All right, let the weak say I'm strong. All right, but it says the bulletin of the atomic scientist notes that over the past 5 years, China has significantly expanded its ongoing nuclear modernization program by fielding more types and greater numbers of nuclear weapons than ever before. All right, so these nations, like I said, these nations are gearing for war. War is in the air. All right. I want to see some real quick. Damn. Agricultural nation. Well, I'm pretty sure because, so yes, China was historically an agricultural civilization for most of its history. All right. So post 1978 reforms, rapid shift toward manufacturing, urbanization, and later technology. So but no longer primarily in agriculture, it's industrial and techno- technological. All right. Uh, all right. This is Joel 3 and 9. This is proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say I'm strong. All right, and pruning hooks and plowshares, those are, tools used in agriculture. All right, but now it's into swords, and what's the modern day swords? The missile. All right, hence why I typed what I typed. ChatGPT. God damn, bro. Fucking Salakia. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be awakened and come to the valley of Jehoshaphat, but in Hebrews, Yahweh's judgment. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about you. All right, so ultimately, World War III is a time of judgment. Simply put, these heathens gonna be judged as well as 2/3 of it, of Jake gonna be judged. All right, and it's gonna be deliverance for the elect. It says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. All right, but yeah. But let me get these scriptures right quick. Going into the missiles because, the missiles are in the scriptures, all right. But this is Revelation 9 and 15. It says, and the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. And the third part of men is the wicked, Esau, Edom. Because there's three classifications of men. You got the sons of men, sons of God, and sons of the wicked. All right. The third part, sons of men, is the heathens. Sons of God are the Israelites, and sons of the wicked are the Edomites. All right. It says, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. It says, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and saw them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lion, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these three was the third part of men killed by the fire. All right, and basically, John the Revelator, he's describing the missiles. It says, and by these three was the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. All right. So, missile comes out of a silo. Silo is what let's you see that? That's comes out of a silo. Well, that's actually not even a silo. Let's get that right quick. Silo where you start off at. Damn. Big ass missiles. Slovakia, fucking okay. Silo missile. You see, so those are different stages of the missile. And then what did it say? I saw the horse in the vision, and then I saw on them having breastplates of fire, and adjacent, and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were the heads of a lion, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. All right, it says by these three, by these three was third part of men killed by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths, for their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like the serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt. All right. So yeah, these are the missiles. All right, and that's how John is. Of course, he's not gonna say, yeah, this is missiles. All right, because they didn't have that terminology back then. All right, so he tried to describe it as best as he could. And another example is Revelation 6 chapter. All right, this is Revelation 6, and it says 13. It says, "And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she's shaken of a mighty wind." All right, so imagine the dropping of figs from a tree and shaking. Figs are pretty solid, so just thudding like doom 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 doom. All right, it says in the heaven. This is after the figs fall, which he's describing. But these figs are not. The figs are representing, or the stars representing the missiles. It says in the heaven departed as a scroll when it's rolled together, and every mountain island removed out of their places. All right, and that's the missiles hitting, and that's that mushroom cloud. All right, it says, "And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, every bondman, every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains." All right, those are which is the underground, the bunkers. There you go. It says, "And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?" All right, and ultimately, when the missile gets shot off, that's when Yahweh Shai gonna return. All right, to beam up the elect and to bring some more destruction. All right, alongside with the angels. All right, but let me go to Isaiah 34 because that links with this. All right, Isaiah 34 and 2. It says, "For the indignation," or also the one. It says, "Come ye." It says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people, let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He had utterly destroyed them. He had delivered them to the slaughter." All right, and we read in Joel, the valley of Yehoshaphat. That's going to be the gathering of the nations to bring the judgment. It's going to be the hot spot. All right. It says, "Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood." It says, "And all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved. And all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the tree." All right. So linking up with Revelation the 6th chapter, that mushroom cloud ultimately. It says, "For my soul shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, it says, and upon the people of my curse to judgment." And, Idumeans are the Edomites, aka the wicked, third part of men, the sons of the wicked. All right, so this is the judgment of an Edomite is to be destroyed in this fire. All right, and those that don't get hit with this fire are going to be first fruits of captivity. All right, as well as the rest of the heathen. But it was I brought up the third part of men as the scripture says. So yeah, But it says the sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord had the sacrifice in Basra and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. All right, and that's here in Babylon. All right. Let's go to Zechariah 5. All right. Zechariah 5:1, it says, Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. And he said unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. And I will bring it forth, said the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house. It shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. All right. So ultimately, this is the chariot's gonna come to bring destruction to Babylon too. All right. Because that's get it. Revelation 18:20, it says, Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High hath avenged you on her. All right. Talking about Babylon. All right. The destruction of Babylon. It says, And the mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be no more found at all. All right. And ancient Babylon wasn't destroyed via the way of fire. So that's going to be here. All right. Babylon the Great is going to be destroyed by fire. And to prove it's by fire, let's read up. Revelation 18:17, it says, For in 1 hour so great riches are coming to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea started far off. So, those that did business with Babylon, they're going to be looking at, the destruction of this place, because it's going to be televised. All right. And they're going to be, as it says, and cry when they saw the smoke of a burning city, saying, what city's like unto this great city? All right. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For 1 hour she is made desolate. So they ain't going to be making money no more, And when this place gets destroyed, it's going to change the world. All right, this is Yahweh Shah returning, and when Yahweh Shah returning, it's not just going to destroy America, and then dip. Like, no, he's coming to set up rulership, all right, for the nation of Israel. He's coming to take the world, all right, and Lord willing, probably elect. We're going to be joint heirs with him, all right. What's that? Daniel 7, the saints of Most High shall take the kingdom and possess it forever, and yea, even forever and ever, all right. So that's what's coming. All right, 2 Ezra 6:9. Jacob is the end of the world. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. And how is that going to happen? Yahweh Shai. All right. Isaiah 63. Isaiah 63:1. It says, Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. It says, Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? And I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there is none with me. For I will tread them in my anger, and will trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain on my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. All right, so when did that happen? When did Yahweh Shai, and this be speaking about Yahweh Shai, when did Yahweh Shai, when was this fulfilled? It hasn't happened yet. All right, it's going to happen. And as we read in what was Idumea? Yeah, Isaiah 34. Hold up. Yeah, as we read in Isaiah 34, this is what it's talking about. All right, Idumea. It's just a Greek way of saying Edom. All right, but let me go to Isaiah 9. All right, because these missiles ain't for show, ain't for a Salaki, ain't for show. These missiles are gonna be used. All right. It says Isaiah 9:5. It says, "For every battle of the warriors with confused noise and garments rolled in blood." All right, so you look at past wars, you'll hear, you know, like war cries, uh, as confused noise. You'll hear all different types of sounds, armor hitting, weapons hitting armor, like clang clang, like all that, you know. The garments rolled in blood. This is hand to hand combat. But it says, "But this shall be burning in fuel of fire." And how is that gonna happen? Through the ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, which is Bible prophecy. All right. But let me go to 215. 215 and 16 actually. All right, 216 and 13, it says, "For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world." All right, and you name me one archer that shot an arrow from from China to America. All right, this shit didn't happen. It's talking about hence the term intercontinental, from one continent to another continent, ballistic missile. So these missiles are from one continent to another continent. Golly, all right. It says, "Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come up upon the earth." All right. So, it's point blank period. All right. These missiles are going to be used. All right. Going to the title of the lesson, locked and loaded. And, we only getting close to that time. All right. But, prophecy has to take place. We're really looking for that chip. Once that once that MOTB, the microchip gets implemented, best believe these missiles, it's imminent. Yahweh Shai's return is imminent. All right, so hopefully, this lesson was well said and edifying. It's through the Spirit. But with that, I want to give all praise and honor to Yahweh by Shemel Shai by Shem Kakodash. The next time, so.